So, WWE Monday Night Raw, being in Chicago, Illinois, and knowing what's happened to CM Punk. Yep, that'll go well. I was really entertained by the audience on this episode of Monday Night Raw because we know that this show was in the hometown of you-know-who, CM Punk. Case in point, how the show started off, when you hear his music hit, and his Titantron on the screen, and you're waiting for him to come out, you're still waiting, oh, but then Paul Heyman comes out, and the fans just boo the heck out of him. Great response from Paul Heyman. I thought this was a really good opening segment to Monday Night Raw, knowing that this show was in Chicago. And what happened was that Paul Heyman came out, and he pretty much was trolling the fans throughout this entire segment. He was encouraging the fans to speak louder. He told the story of CM Punk that we already know, and pointing the finger of blame at the fans instead of CM Punk. I thought that was pretty smart too, and basically trolling the audience, as like I mentioned. And Paul Heyman, while he was talking about CM Punk to the fans and the fans to CM Punk, he was really speaking the truth. This was Paul Heyman being Paul Heyman at his very best in giving the audience that right nudge to show them why they love CM Punk, and he really played on it. And he went on to talk about Brock Lesnar and Undertaker match at WrestleMania 30. Basically saying that he wants revenge on the Dead Man. He wants Brock Lesnar to conquer the streak. Brock Lesnar came out and he said that Undertaker is scared of him, and he will defeat the streak, and etc., etc. And out comes Henry after that, and Brock Lesnar just cleans house on Mark Henry, giving him the F5 on the announce table. And I thought, like I said, was a really good first segment to Monday Night Raw. I thought that it was well thought out. It was well planned by Paul Heyman to come out to do that speech. And to me, that is a perfectly good reason, I think, that Paul Heyman is simply a genius. Moving on, we get to see the Tag Team Championship match. It was the New Age Outlaws taking on the Usos. What happened? The Usos won. They're the new Tag Team Champions. And I have to, but before I get into it, I just want to say congratulations to the Usos, and the replay of Raw is on right now, and I'm watching that match as it's going on, and right now the Usos are trying to get back in the match. I thought overall this match was actually pretty good. It was a well thought up, well planned match. Just like the first segment was, and it was great to see the Usos get the Tag Team Championships. And even though you can make the argument that they should have saved it for WrestleMania, I can totally understand it. But to me, it was smart on the part of WWE having the Usos win, because this is WWE's way of hijacking the hijack of fans. Because if the Usos lost and the New Age Outlaws retained, the audience will probably give the shits out of that match and probably the rest of the show. So I think if you look at it that way, it was smart for the WWE to give the Usos the titles as opposed to WrestleMania. Moving on, Big E Langston versus Cesaro. I'm going to tie this into another match as well. What happened was that the Big E won by disqualification because Jack Swagger came in and attacked Biggie Langston when he tried to sucker punch him and only to have Biggie hit him outside the ring. And I thought this match was good. It was a little rushed, and I was wondering where this was going because of that. But I like how this segment of the show was fast, was quick, and direct and to the point. And what happened was that like I said, Jack Swagger came in and cost Cesaro the match. Later on, Biggie Langston worked another segment where he was about to face Jack Swagger, only to have Cesaro come in before they even locked up and attack Biggie Langston with their neutralizer. And to me, this is interesting to see where this is going to go. I don't know if the WWE will go the route of having Biggie Langston defend his title against both Jack Swagger and Antonio Cesaro at WrestleMania. That would be interesting, but I think what the WWE is looking to go in the direction of is having Cesaro face Jack Swagger at WrestleMania because of the tension that's been going on, and we saw Zeb Coulter playing the peacemaker and telling them to hug it out. And while they were saying "we the people," those two did not look away from each other. They kept looking at each other face to face, and Zeb Coulter was right in the middle of it. So I thought how they developed that was really, really good. And I think that if the WWE is going to split up these two guys, have Cesaro turn babyface and have him go over Swagger at WrestleMania, and if they decide to do the triple threat for the Intercontinental Championship, I think in all likelihood they should have Cesaro become the new Intercontinental Champion. But that's if they go the route of having the triple threat match at WrestleMania. Also, we saw The Shield versus the Wyatt family, and I thought this was a really good match. It wasn't as good as the first match that they had at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, but it was still really, really great. And the "This is Awesome" chants before they even threw a punch, to me, when you get the audience to chant that before a match, you're working magic. And I thought they played it out very well. Seth Rollins was on fire in the first few minutes of that match when he took out Luke Harper at one end and Eric Rowan out the other, going over the top rope, etc., etc. And I thought Rollins really stepped up. And I also noticed that Luke Harper had a new attire on. He had a new shirt and a couple of wristbands here or there. I thought that was a nice touch on the part of Luke Harper. And there was a couple of good moments in that match. I didn't expect Dean Ambrose to apply the figure four. I thought that was pretty interesting. As well as Luke Harper diving out. We know Seth Rollins can fly. They established that very well. And I thought it was really interesting to see Luke Harper, for the past couple of weeks now, do some high-flying maneuvers. So I thought, that was pretty interesting. And it also goes against, the typical big guy not doing high-flying maneuvers. And they do the non-stereotypical way with Luke Harper, with his rugged style. Not only he has that when he kicks you in the face, he's kicking you right in the face. And when he's doing a high-flying maneuver, he's doing a high-flying maneuver like he's doing it like a cruiserweight. I thought that was pretty interesting on the part of Luke Harper. After that, what happened was that we got more dissension from the Shield, where Seth Rollins basically had enough of Dean Ambrose and didn't get the tag in. And this was pretty much Dean Ambrose getting the crap beaten out of him throughout the entire match. And like I said, this was a well-developed match. It was well thought up, well played. And where the Wyatt family went over, it was smart for them to go over because you want to keep the momentum going with the Wyatt family. And teasing dissension with the Shield is really interesting. And to me, I don't think that the WWE should split them up just yet. I like to see, all three of them have their own tension between the three of them without splitting up. What would be interesting to see is Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns face each other in a triple threat match for the United States Championship at WrestleMania, but keep the three of them together as a Shield. That would be really interesting within the next few weeks going into WrestleMania if they go that route. Also, we saw Fandango and Summer Rae versus Santino and Emma. I'm not going to say much about that match because the fans... I'll put it to you this way. You know a match is really, really bad when the fans start chanting for CM Punk, and they done it with this match, and we also got We Want Ziggler chants. I do like, though, that Emma is going over in this match, applying her submission hold to Summer Rae with the Emma lock. We also got to see the dilemma for the first time on Raw, as well as the Emma sandwich. So I like how they're putting Emma in the spotlight when it comes to in-ring work, but I would rather see her not with Santino and just have them split up. We also saw Christian versus Sheamus. This was the match, the breakup match, the match right in the middle, so the fans will just probably crap over anyway, in which they did. We got more Punk chants. We even got This Is Awful chants, but you know what? I'm actually going to play the heel here, and I know I'm going to get heat for this, but I thought this was a well-developed match between these two guys, despite the fans really butchering it. Like in the very beginning where Christian was slapping Sheamus a couple of times and Sheamus was running after him. I thought all that stuff was really great, and you had Christian work the match over Sheamus, and then Sheamus came back and defeated Christian. And this is interesting to see where this goes between the two of them. I don't think it's over with them. I see this going on till WrestleMania, until Christian finally gets his win over Sheamus, and that'll be it with those two. We also saw the Bella Twins versus Alicia Fox and Oksana. Very short, quick match where the Bellas went over. I was a little impressed with Nikki Bella with her new finisher into the backbreaker. We got to see a little bit more of Nikki Bella, and I was actually surprised with the fans throughout this match because there were no CM Punk chants in the crowd. It was just dead silent. Oh, I thought that was a weird situation throughout that Divas match. Also, we got to see Daniel Bryan. He was about to go one-on-one with Batista, but what happened was that Daniel Bryan came out, he cut a promo, and basically said, I'm not going anywhere until I get what I want, and what I want is to face Triple H at WrestleMania. And out comes the Authority, both Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, and when Stephanie McMahon got on the microphone and started talking, the fans just booed her out of the building, and it was to a point where I almost couldn't hear Stephanie speak her own words because the fans were pretty much at her level when it comes to the volume of those two going at it. Oh, brutal. And Triple H pretty much saying that I'm not going to face you, Daniel Bryan. Basically talking down on him. Daniel Bryan brings up the whole screw job at SummerSlam and other things, etc., like the referee, the Hell in a Cell match, and stuff like that. And we also saw that Stephanie McMahon was playing Daniel Bryan's psychiatrist and telling him that the fame is going to his head, and also that we made you as well. And Bryan comes back, says that Stephanie McMahon is delusional. And in the meantime, Triple H is still talking down on him. Daniel Bryan keeps winning the match, and Triple H kept saying no to Daniel Bryan, and tells him to get out of the ring. And Daniel Bryan says, no, make me. And those two have a stare off, and Stephanie McMahon calls for Kane, Kane comes out, but before Kane could do anything, Daniel Bryan flies out of the ring and gets Kane. And Stephanie McMahon calls out for security. And what was really funny was that we got the referees instead. Oh, funny. But basically what happened was that the security came out and basically backed off Daniel Bryan, not wanting anything to do with Triple H, and they're really building this up, and it's inevitable that's going to happen. We also saw Alberto Del Rio going one-on-one with Dolph Ziggler, and to me, Dolph Ziggler with Aaron Paul, when they came out, it was great that Aaron Paul was hyping up the fans, and when Dolph Ziggler was in the ring, the fans were behind him, and the only issue I had was that Dolph Ziggler really didn't need any distractions or help from anyone, especially Aaron Paul, the guest host of Monday Night Raw, who was only on for a very, 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 very short amount of time, and gave Dolph Ziggler the win. To me, that just goes to show how WWE is treating Dolph Ziggler like total crap. Moving on, we get to see Paul Bearer. Paul Bearer into the Hall of Fame, a manager. I think that the WWE is doing something great when it comes to the road to WrestleMania. And Paul Bearer being inducted into the Hall of Fame, a great manager to The Undertaker, to Kane, and the skippies he had with Edge and Kane when that rivalry was going on was great. And to me, Paul Bearer, to me, is one of the greatest managers, and rightfully so, being inducted into the Hall of Fame. And like I said before, the Hall of Fame class this year has been looking stellar. We have the Ultimate Warrior, Jake the Snake Roberts, Lita, and now Paul Bearer. I will probably expect maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 more people to the Hall of Fame within the next few weeks leading up to WrestleMania. I'm looking forward to that, and I think the Hall of Fame is really shaping up. And that's the one thing I'm looking forward to the day before WrestleMania, and I hope to get to see this as well. Also, we saw John Cena come out, and he basically cut a promo saying that the future will run through me, and I like how the fans were pretty much hijacking this promo to an extent. We get to see CM Punk chants and John Cena playing on the fans, mentioning the Money in the Bank pay-per-view where CM Punk walked out with the title. What happened was that throughout this match, throughout this promo, John Cena talked about change and wanting change with the company, and basically you have to go through me to go in the future, stuff like that. And what happened was that the Wyatt family appeared. Bray Wyatt telling Cena that he's going to put him down. And they're building this up to WrestleMania. The only issue I had is that, to me, when the audience chants CM Punk, to me, it should be at times like where there's a Divas match, or when Alberto Del Rio has a match, or anything of that nature. When you're not thinking highly of something, that's a good time to chant CM Punk. But to me, the audience, disrespected Bray Wyatt as he was talking. That's the problem I had. Any time besides that, I'm almost okay with it. But to me, I think when Bray Wyatt is talking, guys, you should be quiet and pay attention to what he's saying, because he's a good talker. I don't understand the WWE. You have a really good talker in Bray Wyatt, and somehow he still gets crapped on from the fans in Chicago with the CM Punk chants. A little iffy on that, but anything else besides that, okay. Moving on, the main event, Batista versus Daniel Bryan. The funny thing was that before I get to that match, we saw that promo with Lana and Alexander Rusev, and I thought that was wrongfully placed because there was only a short amount of time, we thought, but the WWE decided to go into overtime with the final match. And to me, when Alexander Rusev comes out, to me, yes, he's imposing, he has the size, but when it comes to his facial expressions, I think he needs to work on it. That's the only little issue with Alexander Rusev to me. He has a babyface kind of look, and I think that Alexander Rusev needs to work on his promo work. I don't think he needs to say much. Let Lana do the talking. It's kind of like when Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar are together. Paul Heyman does all the talking and Brock Lesnar shouldn't. So I think, to me, the same applies with Lana and Alexander Rusev. Just do that, WWE. Just stop with Alexander Rusev. Just don't have him talk at all. And we get to the main event, Batista versus Daniel Bryan. What happened was that this match was pretty much thrown out when Randy Orton interfered and cost Daniel Bryan the match, and he also cost Batista the match as well via disqualification. And Daniel Bryan hit the high knee shortly after on Randy Orton. The Authority distracted Daniel Bryan as well. The Batista nailed a spear on Daniel Bryan. Looked really bad. I think that the WWE is not doing anyone any good because, let's face it, Batista to me is very rusty. I just can't see. Let's just take away the fact that the fans are going to butcher the Batista and Orton match at WrestleMania. How is Batista going to wrestle with Randy Orton in at least 15 or 20 minute match without being any rusty? I just can't get behind that. Just that alone. And lasting a few minutes with Daniel Bryan just didn't even measure up, I don't think, with Batista. Now, to me, it was a risky, very, very risky way to close off Monday Night Raw when the heels went over as the cameras went off the air. Because what happened was that the Authority came in and pretty much took out Daniel Bryan. Triple H tried to stop Kane because he wasn't allowed to touch him, and Triple H got on the microphone and basically said, "You want me at WrestleMania?" and stuff like that. And Daniel Bryan kicks him, and they pretty much gang attacked on him. And the show is left with Stephanie McMahon, Kane, and Triple H looking down on Daniel Bryan. And like I said, it's inevitable. It's going to happen anyway. Triple H versus Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. I think if you're going to add a couple of stipulations, they could go the route of, if Daniel Bryan wins, you can have him be in the championship match at WrestleMania, and if Triple H loses, he could step down as COO of the WWE, something like that. I think needs to happen. Some sort of stipulation has to happen in this match. Otherwise, I don't think that the story will have that good payoff. And that's just my opinion. But even if there's no stipulation, to me it's very risky to have this match even last on the card, knowing the fact that Triple H uses the shovel every time he's in a match. And I think that Daniel Bryan should be the guy that goes over Triple H. I thought overall this episode of Monday Night Raw was very, very interesting. To me, what entertained me the most were the fans on this show of Monday Night Raw. And the first hour I thought was absolutely great. It was pay-per-view quality, and it went really fast. But when it got to the second and third hour, it just went downhill from there. And if you saw the show, what did you think about it? Whatever you thought, comment below and let me know. While you're at it, you can hit that subscribe button down below this video. You can also follow MRB Wrestling Reviews on Twitter and Make Rock a Bolt Wrestling Reviews on Facebook. And on the final note, to all you MRBers watching, get plenty of rest and always do your best.